Hello, I'm Kim at English for Life Academy, and I'm here today with Mark, and we got some big news coming up soon, so I wanted you all to have a chance to meet Mark and chat with him a little bit, and then we'll tell you what we're working on. So Mark, welcome, and tell us a little bit
Very
about
good. Very good to see you today.
you too. Usually we just talk without visuals, so this is a nice change to be able to see each other. Tell me a little bit about what you do. I know you have a long ESL teaching career, so tell me how you got into that and what you've done.
Yeah, well, you're very correct about that. I've been an ESL teacher for quite a while, and I've done it practically all my professional life. I started when I was young. I studied when I was a college student. I went to Marquette University here in Milwaukee, and I did one of their junior year abroad programs, and I went to Paris, and I studied at the Sorbonne there, and I became a French as a second language student, and it was a very interesting experience. And ever since that point, I discovered that I really enjoyed that kind of experience, and I really appreciated what the teachers that I had in Paris did for me at that time, because they were very kind and empathetic and good teachers, and I feel like I learned a lot, and it was a life-changing experience. So when I came back, I thought to myself, well, maybe I'd like to do this, and I taught American students English for a while in high school, and then I decided to go back to school and get a master's degree and study linguistics, go back to working on English studies for teaching people from other languages, just like they had done for me. And I was very lucky because when I finished my master's degree, I got a chance to do a Fulbright. And a Fulbright is a government-sponsored exchange where we send one teacher over to another country and they send another teacher back here. And I was very fortunate to get sent to Poland at a very historic time in history. And I became a teacher of English teachers there. And I taught these students at the university, and they all became high school English teachers in Poland. And I still have contact with them to this day. And I just find that that's a very, very interesting job to do. I mean, to live in another country for a couple of times. And I appreciated that a lot. And I just decided to come back and see if I could teach English to foreign people here in Milwaukee. And I did. I worked at Milwaukee Area Technical College, which is our two-year. A lot of states have community colleges, but we have technical colleges here in Wisconsin. And all of our immigrants and refugees came through our program. I've probably taught thousands and thousands of students English over my career. So.
It's interesting. We have very similar stories, but mine is for another day, but very similar in that we started by being the language learner, and through that experience wanted to try it from the other side. And I know that you're an avid learner of languages. So what languages have you learned or dabbled in, or can you order a beer in?
Well, quite a few, actually. It was something I always enjoyed from my earliest time. Of course, I learned French pretty well. And since I started learning French when I was young, like I was a teenager, a young teenager, my French is pretty good. My accent's pretty good. But I also learned Polish when I was in Poland. That's a difficult language to learn because there's not a lot of experience teaching Polish to foreigners. You know, like for example, in France, there's a lot of people that are in the business of teaching French to foreign people, but in Poland, it's sort of like you're on your own. I studied at the university in Krakow for a while. They had a SOL, but it was mostly speaking just to my students, who of course wanted to learn English more. But I had to learn Polish on the street because nobody could speak English there. I'm sure it's very different now, but this was quite a while back, during the days of solidarity and the revolution and the Eastern Bloc. It was very interesting times. And I've also learned Portuguese because I've spent a lot of time down in Brazil. I helped start a language school in Rio at one point in my life, and my wife is from Brazil, and we speak a lot of Portuguese around here. And of course a little Spanish because we can do that. I've had Spanish-speaking students so much of my life that I can speak with them. I have maybe a bit of a Portuguese accent when I speak, but that just makes me, I guess, a little more interesting to talk to.
Nothing wrong with a little portuñol, right?
That's what it is. Absolutely.
Great. Well, you've had a chance to work with teaching English to internationals and also teaching people to be English teachers. Mm-hmm. And since that's what we do in our TESOL program, I'll ask, what do you enjoy about that? What is fun for you about teaching other people to teach English?
Well, I feel like I'm involved in a very important life-changing event for people when they learn how to teach English, because whether they do it here as English as a second language, where there's lots of learners in the USA that need this, I mean, usually that changes people's lives as well, because they have the opportunity to work with people who are so motivated and people that are so interesting, that have good stories to tell. And that's very profound, as well as people that go to other countries, because that changes our lives as well. I mean, to do that. And since I've done that, many times in my own life, I see the power of it. And anybody that wants to go and teach English in another country, they've automatically got that desire. And it's like to feed that desire is great. So that's what I like about doing it. Plus the fact that learning languages is such an important and impressive thing to do. And there's so many new ways of doing it. I was always involved in teaching our faculty like new methods and becoming a better teacher and things like that. So it's sort of in my blood to do that. So I enjoy it a lot.
It's so great that we both get to do as a profession what we love to do. Even just as a hobby, we would be doing it. Yeah. I love that.
I mean, sometimes we feel like even if we can't go to the world, I always would tell people the world comes to me.
Yeah.
In my job, I would see people from dozens and dozens of countries every single day. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think people would tell me, Mark, you have more international friends in Milwaukee than American friends. And I think that's probably true.
Yeah. I think it's the same for me too here. So what projects are you currently working on in ESL teaching and learning, language learning?
Well, that's a good question, because since I retired from my job at the college, I've run a little business that's been a language coaching business and technology consulting and things like that. And I could talk a long time about the projects I'm involved in detail, but let me just say that a lot of it involves language coaching. I've created a small school in my yard. I have a little barn outside that we call it the celeiro. That's the Portuguese word for barn. It's like it sounds a little fancier than it does in English. And in the celeiro, we run classes for small groups of people, and I just work on coaching people. I've got a couple of guys that I've been working with lately. They're both pharmacists from Egypt. They're starting new businesses here in Wisconsin, and I help them with their English. I've worked this past summer with a guy from Dominican Republic who was here living with his aunt, and he's going to college in New York this upcoming year, and he wanted to get some extra practice with his English. And with his baseball, he wanted to do some practice with that. So I couldn't help him too much, but I introduced him to people that could. So it's a lot of varied type things that I keep my hand in the same kind of things I'd always do before. But now I get to pick my projects, and it's interesting. I like it.
That's great. And the latest project that we're kind of introducing to everyone today is being able to take TESOL certification program to Milwaukee. And Mark is going to be our Milwaukee coordinator. And we're really, really excited to be able to do that and work with you there, especially with all your international connections. And I've never been to Milwaukee, but I know it's a very cool city, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's I guess we would call it your North Campus, right? You've got a South Campus down there in South Carolina, and now we have a North Campus. And I'm hoping that there will be a lot of interest in people here in this area to also go abroad and teach, because sometimes the best thing you can do if you can't find the kind of job you're looking for here in the United States, it either pays you the kind of money you'd like or gives you the kind of experience you'd like, is go to another country and get that experience and get a job that, I mean, in a lot of countries gives you a lot of respect. So I think that that's what we're interested in doing here, to see how many people in this Midwestern area are also interested in going and teaching abroad. And I'm hoping it's going to be a lot of people.
I am too. It sounds wonderful. And it's really helpful for people too after they have gotten that international experience when they come back. And I mean, have that you lived overseas and learned another language and were able to support yourself and take care of yourself. That on a resume is amazing.
Yeah, Kim, what's different these days is how easy it is to keep in touch with people that you've met abroad.
That's right.
And I think that these days having that international experience face-to-face becomes so important, because the relationships can be maintained in such an easier way than ever before. So, I mean, I think that's the compelling reason for spending some time abroad and doing this, because you've set yourself up with international connections forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less scary to get there and get settled, because you don't have to sever all ties with people back home, which was the case when I started traveling abroad. I remember saying, well, Mom, I'll talk to you in 3 months because I can't afford a phone call. And that was it. Great. Well, we're going to be talking a lot more, Mark, and maybe we'll do another couple interviews and things so you can chat with people.
Yeah,
maybe we'll do some Facebook Lives or something so people can ask questions as we're going. But for now, we just wanted to say hello and let everybody know that this is happening. We have our first class in the North Campus on the books starting in January. So I'm getting that up on the website today, and I'll put the link near this video so you can get the information on how to sign up for that class.
Yeah, that's right. We wanted to make sure that any people from the South that wanted to come up here would get a good blast of winter when they started.
That's right. I mean, we might as well just jump in and start with the real winter in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but if you're here from Milwaukee, it's not going to bother you. It'll just give you something to do. See?
That's right. I'll get back to my Midwestern roots and buy a winter coat. I'll be ready for it. Thanks so much, Mark. I appreciate talking to you today, and we'll be talking more.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Nice to speak with you as well.
And you.